This Amateur Radio Roundtable is brought to you in part by ICOM America. Well, good evening to everyone. Today is Tuesday, June 20th. Man, the months are just flying by. Wow, it's hard to believe. You're watching Amateur Radio Roundtable. My name is Tom Medlin, W5KUB. You're watching Amateur Radio Roundtable, and if you're listening out there on shortwave, please join us at our website, w5kub.com. You can watch the video and you can get into the chat room and chat with us. I want to thank all our friends up at WBCQ, famous international shortwave station up in Monticello, Maine, for putting us on the airwaves tonight. And we especially say hello to Lord Robert up in Monticello tonight there at WBCQ. So, I don't know if we have any new people in here or not, but I just would like to invite you again to click on the Facebook link at the top of the page, and you can join our Facebook group for this webcast. It's just a great ham radio hangout. You can post pictures in there, post your shack pictures in there, and we'll try to show those on the show one Tuesday night. But you can talk all about ham radio in there, and also it will give you good information on upcoming shows and what's going on with the show. You know, last week we had, I introduced to you our new chief webcast correspondent, Jeff N3VE, and we've got him back again. I got another video I dug up. We've had several videos that we brought back from Hamvention 2017 that no one has seen yet. So we've got another little short one I'm going to play that Jeff did. And just take note again and watch this, and you'll see the new Greene County Fairgrounds and how much space there is, and just the difference. If you've ever been to Dayton, there at Hara Arena, you'll see there's a big difference. So again, this is from our chief web correspondent, Jeff Kerber, N3VE. Look at him there. He's all got his press stuff on, and he's ready to go out there. So here we go. Let's look at this real quick. And I think in this we're going to see some really large magnetic loops, and also a new radio 160 through 6 meter transceiver, an FDM dual. This will be kind of neat. So take a look at this. It's about 5 minutes long.
That's an interesting loop antenna. So you're going to pull up on the specifications. So large capacitor with a linear activator that spreads those capacitor plates apart. So imagine that the two halves of the sphere separate. I can show you this on the smaller one where they are separated.
That loop doesn't look too MIDI to me. It looks pretty large.
I'm sorry.
Last year? Well, let Barbara tell you. Barbara's so smart.
We are here at ELAD. There's a camo version of that baby loop. Put a little bit of power into these guys.
But I love the radio.
That fan.
I never heard this complaint, so that's why I wonder.
I don't know, but
Because nobody ever said that.
when it warms up, it's like a long. I get myself in a situation where the radio actually starts to you touch it, it's warm. And then the fan goes on. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like a little jet engine.
Okay, very good. Do you want to tell us a little bit about ELAD?
Did away with the fan,
Sure.
even though I didn't take the
Well, it's an Italian company. Franco IU3ADL is the owner, the head guy. He's right over there. I'm just Mark, WB9 DVD, and I'm an unpaid volunteer, but I love them a lot. I got a red one over there. The FDM Duo is a 160 to 6 meter transceiver, AM, FM, CW, and sideband. It'll run a maximum of 8 watts. It handles 8 watts nicely because it has two 40 watt transistors in the final running in push-pull. When one's sleeping, the other one's working. Has a heat conductive material on top of the heat sink. When you put the cover on, it totally dissipates the heat. And you have another fan in here that also keeps it cool. It receives 10 kilohertz to 54 megahertz. It also has, it's a fully standalone radio. You put a little over 9 volts to a little over 16 volts into it, and put an antenna, a mic, or a key in it, or a paddles, and you can transmit as long as you like. It has many filtering features. When you hook it up to a computer, you can run 4 simultaneous waterfalls, 192 kilohertz each. If you just want to hook up one, you can get 6 megahertz at one time. This is just the beginning of the menu. There's menus inside of menus inside of menus in the software. The software is proprietary. It's called SW2. FDM-SW2 is the proprietary software. Normally when people say proprietary software, it's kind of the kiss of death. Not so with us. It's free. There's constant updates. There was one around the time of Orlando. We have another one coming up in 2 weeks. When the updates come out, you download them from the ELAD website, and you hook them up into your little mini USB, and I'm not wearing my glasses there. There it is right there. Transmitter for one side, receiver for the other. You download in about 10 minutes and you're done. Plus, if you had an amplifier you wanted to hook up, you can remotely key it right from here. It uses a standard ICOM modular microphone. It comes with a hand mic, and interestingly enough, the audio with that hand mic, just an off-the-wall, off-the-shelf small hand mic, it works fantastically. I gave mine to a friend to use during a net that our local club runs, and he recorded the whole thing. And during the net, everyone commented that the ELAD FDM Duo's audio was as good as any of the other transceivers without mentioning a name. It's just fantastic. On CW, it's fantastic because it'll go down to 10 hertz without ringing. What else can I tell you? It has 0 dBm output on the back that you can use as a test standard. It'll also put out 1 milliwatt if you want to use it as to hook up to your transverter for UHF, VHF, whatever. Second receiver antenna right there. I don't know what else I can say, but it's extremely well built. No shortcuts taken, and it's made in Italy.
And what's the price?
$1,099 is the show price at Dayton.
Okay, you heard it here.
2017.
Thank you.
You're welcome. WB9 DVD signing off.
All right, boy, that was a great video again by Jeff N3VE. I think we're going to keep Jeff. You notice how steady he held that camera? That was not an easy job because there was a lot of weight out there on that camera, but again, a great job. And We probably have a few more Dayton Hamvention 2017 videos we might show you in the next few weeks. They're going to be short, maybe 2 or 3 minutes each. But we wanted to let you see all the different things that we were able to capture and bring home with us on video there. Well, you know, I've been thinking about building an antenna, just experimenting. I've kind of thought about a spider or a hex beam. That looks pretty simple to build, a hex beam. And I started looking at the cobweb antenna. And looks like a pretty nice little antenna, but it's probably a little difficult to match. But anyway, we've got our friend Dave Kassler, KE0OG, with us again today. And Dave's going to talk to us about the cobweb antenna. And we've got Dave Kassler, KE0OG, and I think he's got some interesting things to talk to us today about some antennas he's been working on. So, hey Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you today, Tom?
I'm doing really good. Hey, how's the weather out there? It looks like sunshine coming through that window back there.
Oh, we finally got some sunshine and some heat. It's actually been quite warm for where we are. It's been in the mid-80s. For us, that's hot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Well, hey.
Humidity is all the way up to 18%.
18. We usually have 98 here, humidity. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Dave, I know you've been working on the cobweb antenna this weekend. That kind of intrigues me. I'm thinking about building either just homebrewing a hex beam or a cobweb with a friend, and I don't know. Let's hear what you found out about the cobweb, man.
Well, the cobweb came to me via MFJ. They asked me if I would put it up. It's apparently something they're pushing right now. The use case for this particular antenna is that it's low visibility, works fairly well about 10 to 20 feet up in the air. You can put it up near the house, and it really doesn't look like an antenna. It looks more like a clothesline than a cobweb. But so I decided to test it by putting it up on top of a 2x4 about 9 feet in the air, and the antenna worked great. I'll show you a picture of what the cobweb actually looks like, and do that one right there. Okay, this is the MFJ 1835H. There's two versions. The H is the high power, and without the H is the low power. And the only difference between the two is how they do the ballon. It works 20 through 10 meters, including the work bands. And if you look at it, up around here is the ballon right there. And each wire, this is the 10-meter one, goes around like this and comes over and stops. That's one side of the dipole. And then this is the other side, and these are little plastic strips, so you can lengthen or shorten the wire to bring that particular band into place. This is a top-down view of this. What they provide is this boom right here. It's a very sturdy plastic. These spreaders are also plastic. There's a couple of plates in here and also the mounting hardware for it. This is me when the box arrived. That box is taller than I am by quite a bit. It's well over 6 feet long. I think the spreaders are 6 feet, which make the antenna about 8 feet on a side. So if you look at this thing and you think of a clothesline, you're looking down on a clothesline. It's about how big this thing is. It's not the kind of thing that's going to attract a lot of attention. This is the ballon, actually, that they put together. It's a little current ballon. Here's where the coax comes in here, and out over here at the end is where it's connected to all of the wires. This is mounted face down. They've got a little bit of screen over this to keep the bugs out. There are, of course, bugs that are much smaller than those screen openings, so you may have to clean this out every so often. This is what it looks like out in the backyard. Like I said, a clothesline. That's Mount Sneffels right there. That's kind of the mountain that defines the area. And I've got this on a 2x4 with a little piece of pipe hooked into the mounting thing and hooked to the 2x4. And right away I was having people answer my CQs. And this was only with the 100 watts. It seemed to be doing really well. With the high power version, they want that great big collection of coax there to really truly catch all the common mode stuff. Now you can tighten this thing up if you like. You can see where I left some wires that aren't completely tight there. The antenna's up on my roof now. It was just out in the backyard. I put some metal stakes out here that I got at Home Depot, 2-foot long metal stakes, so it's firmly anchored, and that's some very strong cord that I got from DX Engineering. This is basically what it is. This particular picture comes from the ARRL Antenna Handbook, and it's a classic dipole where you have multi-band dipoles all connected to the same feeder. Note here they go directly from the coax to this. That's it cries for a balun right there. One of the problems with doing antennas like this is that every time you change the tuning on one, you change the tuning on the others, and so it can be a little bit of a chore to get the thing tuned. So let me come back here. I was pleasantly surprised about putting it together. One of the things about the putting the thing together is that they have little metal screws. Let's see if I can find the picture for that right here. And I'm going to share again. Share screen right there. Okay, this is the thing out on the table in the backyard.
All right, we're not sharing yet.
We're not sharing yet. Start. There we go. These wires go out, of course, the shorter ones are the inner ones. And at each spot where it hits the spreader, there's a little screw through there with the washer. And that screw is screwed down on that washer to hold that tight so it won't go flying anywhere. Now they suggest that you put those screws in as you are stringing the wires. I decided that since they have these little nylon fasteners in the nuts, that if I started that screw with that nut on it, then it was captive, and then when I put the wire on, I could just tighten it. That way, all of those screws and nuts were in place before I started stringing it. And I thought it worked a lot better that way. So overall, I was impressed with the antenna. I was pleasantly surprised. It's certainly a lot easier to use than these loop antennas. The loop antennas have to be so carefully tuned, whereas this thing covers either the voice band or the CW band. On 15 and 10, it covers part of the voice band. So like on 10 meters, I set it to include the novice band. 15 meters kind of, the lower part of the voice band. It trails off about 21,350, but that's such a big band. So I've kind of set this one up permanently to keep as part of my antenna farm. What do you think of it?
So, Dave, I have a question. As you mentioned earlier, you know, when you take a fan dipole like that, and you, as you say, when you start tuning one, it affects the other. I've had a lot of experience trying to build multi-band fan dipoles, trying to get 4 and 5 bands, and I found out it's really, really difficult to make 4 or 5 bands work. 3 bands is usually within reach of most people, but there was a study some university did about, and it may even been military, and they suggested almost 8 inches separation there at the feed point of each band. And if you could hold those things apart a greater distance, you fan dipoles tuned a little easier. But I noticed all those going to the same point on each side in your picture. Did you have any problem tuning that, or did it pretty much just fall in place when you put it together?
Well, of the 2x4 and then took some reference measurements on all of the different bands, and I made tiny changes in each one. And I got it down to where everything was tuned except 12 meters. And I noticed that just changing that by about a centimeter in the length kind of brought that band in and didn't affect the others too much. So the key in tuning this is tune a little, test a little, tune a little, test a little, tune a little, test a little, until you get it to where you want it. You can't make gross adjustments on this thing. The way the thing is set up, if you do it according to the instructions, it's kind of close, but you're going to have to tune it. It will not be in tune right out of the box.
When you say close, were they like 2 to 1?
The 2 to 1 bandwidth is what I was looking for.
Uh-huh.
I wanted the 2 to 1 bandwidth to cover, let's see, I've got my log here. This, I don't know if you can see much on that. This is the log where I went down through the different bands. I looked at the 3 to 1, 2 to 1, the lowest match, and it got down to 1.0 on the 17 meter band. At what frequency was the lowest SWR, and then keep on going up to the 2 to 1 to the 3 to 1. So I've got this to where it's acceptable on all bands. I put acceptable in quotes because some of them are kind of pushing it a little bit. For example, some of the bands, I'd really like to move it a little bit, but once you get it to the point where it's good enough, don't touch it.
Yeah. So, do you think that that antenna, with it folded like that, it's folded almost in a circle. It's not a loop because the ends aren't connected. Do you feel like that it's lost some efficiency? You think surely a dipole on that band would outperform that circular dipole, wouldn't it?
I would think so, because I compared this to my full size, it's a multi-band butternut vertical, which I've been using as my reference antenna. And this one is down a little, I'd say 1 or 2, maybe 3 dB down. So yes, if you've got the room for a dipole, it will do better than this.
But you know what, Dave, though, but a lot of people probably don't realize this. Even though it's down, if you don't have another antenna to compare it to, you never know that. And even your butternut, I bet you that if you were talking to the same guy, someday he'd be 10 dB lower, and some days he might be 10 dB higher. So you never know, man.
You can't tell, and this is the use case for this. The thing you would buy it for is if you've got some sort of restriction regarding views, but you can put up something like this and not have people notice it. Like I said, it's less than 10 feet square in a side. And it works. It works really well. I would not recommend taking this antenna, which is a compromise antenna already, and trying to assemble it in an attic, for example. I'd use all the attic space to put up regular dipoles that you can.
Yeah. What kind of price range is this antenna in?
$250.
Okay.
$250. It's actually pretty reasonable for what you're getting. And I was impressed with the workmanship. Everything is there, everything works, everything is sturdy. In the back of the picture I showed you earlier is actually the loop. I've tested a couple receive-only loops. And the use case for that is if you have an antenna like this cobweb here, and it picks up too much noise, which it will pick up a fair amount of noise. And then you have these receive-only loops that you can stick somewhere where they're totally invisible. I saw a picture where somebody had a receive loop disguised as a birdcage holder. The loops are very quiet on receive, so you can receive on the loop and transmit on the cobweb, for example, and get a much lower noise and still pretty effective transmitting. The problem with the transmitting loops is they are very picky about their tuning. I've received comments from people who really love them, but it would drive me nuts tuning it all the time like that. I'm going to try it at field day, though, because we have a problem at our field day setup that when the guys in one trailer are on 20 meter CW, it completely blows the GOTA station off the air. And so I'm thinking I'll try the MFJ transmit receive loop, the 1788, there, and see if the tuning is sharp enough that it will reject all of that extraneous stuff from the 20 meter CW station without overstressing the front end of the radio. So this will be the big experiment. I'm hoping it'll work.
So Dave, you've done a video on this. I think you've got about a 20 or 25-minute video where you really go into detail on this. You want to talk about where the people can find that?
Well, if you go to my YouTube channel, which is go to YouTube, and they keep changing it, but what you've got in the lower thirds, it's just David Kassler. YouTube/David Kassler will take you to my channel page, and this video is one of the most recent ones I did, so it should be right up there at the top. I have done one video since, but in the time people are seeing this, it'll be right there on the channel page, and please don't forget to subscribe while you're there.
Okay, well maybe you'll get some subscribers that come in here and take a look at that. I've reviewed it, and it's a great video, and it really goes into detail about that cobweb. So, hey, I don't know, I might still tackle it and try to build one. I don't know. I like building these. There's not a lot to them. You know, I like building things from scratch, and you really can't beat antennas, because usually all it is some wire and some sticks. You know, I mean, you know, back when I was a novice back in 1964, where were all these antennas? I didn't know of anything like this. I didn't know about the off-center fed dipole that was multi-band. I think I had one dipole up for one band, and well, I tell you, I mean, there's so many options for antennas now, and one I like very much, and I tell people all the time, is man, get you. I mean, you know, I don't go for the tuner in the radio because it tunes to coax, and why would I want to do that when my coax is 130 feet underground? But anyway, so you know, I tell everybody, I said, if you want, you know, if you're going to spend $200, $300 on an antenna, and you want something that'll work every single band, and the SWR is just really good, and you don't have to get out there and trim it, get you something like one of these SC237 auto antenna tuners that you can put out at the base of the antenna, and run your coax out there. All you do is you hit it with a little bit of power, half a watt, and instantly it tunes, and you're tuned up on that band. And hey, hook it to a gutter, a rain gutter. Hook it to a chain link fence. Hook it to anything. I even hooked mine to my El Camino bumper one time, and worked a guy in Washington State using my El Camino parked out in the driveway as a antenna. It'll tune anything, but oh man, there's so many options today. Well, hey Dave, thanks so much for the info on the cobweb antenna. Now, next week, I know Katie is going out to her field day, and I think you're going to go out. So try to get us some video or something interesting about the field day that you attend, and we'll try to have it on the show next week.
All right, I'll collect that video for you. And we'll see you on the next show, and good luck at field day.
All right, and thank you so much, Dave, and boy, I tell you, ham radio is exciting, isn't it? We got so much we can do.
That is true. That is a fact.
73, we'll see you later. Thanks, Dave.
73. Bye.
Field day is almost here. Calling all stations. Make sure you grab your ICOM gear for the most popular on-the-air event, Field Day, June 24th and 25th. Let ICOM help you make the most contacts or practice for emergency situations. Don't forget to bring along the perfect field day companion, the IC7300. It's ideal for the ham on the go. It's a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design. It has RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, a real-time spectrum scope, and an SD memory card slot. Hear and see a wide variety of signals with the R8600, ICOM's new high-performance software-defined receiver. An industry first for desktop wideband receivers, the R8600 provides a high-resolution, real-time spectrum scope with a waterfall screen. 4.3-inch high-resolution color display with touchscreen features, an SD card slot for received log, decode log, and voice recording, and it scans up to 100 channels per second in the memory scan mode. The ICOM America Hams to Japan sweepstakes is underway. Enter today for a chance to win an ICOM radio or even an unforgettable experience to attend the 2017 Tokyo Ham Fair. Make sure you come back and enter each week to be eligible for each radio drawing. For more information, visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur. Okay, hey guys, we're back. Want to just welcome again any listeners we've got out there on WBCQ, International Shortwave Station on 5130. You're watching Amateur Radio Roundtable. I'm Tom Medlin, and we're coming to you from Collierville, Tennessee. If you've got internet, go to w5kub.com and join us. You can watch the video and check in the chat room with us. We got an announcement I want to make about Field Day. We're not going to be able to do anything live Field Day next weekend because I can't count on the internet functioning properly, so we don't want to screw that up. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some Field Day recordings. And I know next week Dave will be out and Katie will be out at Field Day locations. I'm going to go to the Memphis Field Day locations, and we're going to try to do some recording of these local Field Day events, and we'll have them on the show next Tuesday. And if anyone out there, if any club or any Field Day operation would like to send us a video and be on the show, please send a video to us. I'd like for you to keep it short, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, but you should start your video out possibly with a group picture, or at least announce what the club is or the call is, your location. Show us how the weather's treating you. Show us how the food is, because some of these field days have great food out there. And then show us operating positions, the antennas, and anything you want to tell us. But try to hold that down to about 5 minutes if you can. And if you would, upload that to YouTube. Send that up to YouTube, and then send me a note, and I can pull that off YouTube, and I can get it on the show next week. But there's one stipulation. I really need that by midnight Sunday night. I know that might kind of rush you, but send me a note. Try to get that into me by midnight of next Sunday night, and we'll try to get your Field Day on the show next week. Let's see. So that's going to cover Field Day. All right, I've got I've had a lot of requests over the months, to tell us how we do this webcast, how we hook the equipment up and everything, and what we use. And it's not awfully complicated or complex, but there is some complexity to it. And I would need to do some drawings and take some time to put together something to show you how we do it. Just doing a show with me alone is not a big deal, but when you start bringing in remote guests and bringing them into the show, it becomes a little bit more difficult to do. But instead, a lot of people also wonder why we do this, and how long we've been doing it, and what have you accomplished. So I've got a little thing I put together here that I want to let you kind of see the background of what we're doing and why we're doing it and how long we've been doing it. And so we're going to go ahead and run that right now and let you take a look at that. You know, we started streaming as W5KUB.com. It was not Amateur Radio Roundtable. Amateur Radio Roundtable became a weekly show that is aired on W5KUB.com. So we do a lot of other special things with the webcast. It's not just a weekly show. You know, we'll do hamventions and other special things like that. Let's see if I can get the next slide around here. Okay, here we go. Just a little about the history. We actually began streaming ham radio events in about 2001. And the interesting thing about that, we would stream our drive live, you know, as we drove 400, 500 miles. We'd be live on the highway and you'd see us driving. You know, that was before all these news channels and everybody started doing their live streaming, and the Weather Channel started doing live streaming. I think we were doing it before them. Of course, back in those days, the infrastructure wasn't very good, so I can see why it wasn't ready for TV, but I think we've been doing it quite a bit longer than a lot of the TV stations, so maybe they copied after us. I don't know. But you know, back in the early days, connectivity was really bad. And video quality was really bad back then. But technology has improved a whole lot, you know, in just recent years. If you look at things like 3G and 4G networks, you know, back around 2002 even, we had early 3G networks, but we couldn't get upload speeds more than about 50 kilobits, and that's not very good for video. By 2008, 3G got a little better. We were getting 200 to 600 kilobits, which got a little bit better picture. But you know, in the last years, I would say in the last 5, 6, 7 years, the 4G LTE has really come along well for us, and we're seeing upload speeds from the car as we're driving as high as 20 megabits up. So we can really stream a high definition picture now from the car with things like 4G networks. Here is a picture probably of one of the first pictures of one of the first broadcasts we did. This was called the helmet cam. We actually still have the helmet cam. It's a little dirty, but we might put it in the W5KUB museum. But this is a helmet cam. We had a camera attached to our hard hat, and we had to carry our laptop around with us, and we streamed with 3G. The problem with that is we couldn't tell where the camera was aimed, and also when we would turn our head, the camera would turn, of course, with it, and everything would be blurry. And we had so many complaints of people getting seasick. It just didn't work out very well. So we decided we needed to go to better cameras. We needed to go to things like tripods and so forth, you know, to stabilize a picture. Now you guys might recognize this guy. Again, the early days, that is Gordon West. He's wearing the helmet cam. Now Gordon tried out for a correspondent for W5KUB.com, and I hate to tell you, Gordon just didn't make the cut. We did not give Gordon a job. You know, if he's got a little bit more experience now, if he wants to come back and try again, we'll be glad to talk to him. But that's a picture of Gordon West there. That was made up in Dayton probably 16, 17 years ago. You can see the early years, it was pretty crude. That was our tent outside, and we did good to hold it down when the floods came and when the winds came. And it's quite difficult to have a computer or a laptop and equipment out in the weather like that. But we did it, and we managed to get some streams out. And the quality was not great. You can see we moved inside at Harrah right there. This is a shot of Dayton a few years ago. And you can see we went to a much nicer facility. It looks really much more professional now. We had a lot more room there, and it really worked out well for us. That was a very good location for us. This year at the Greene County Fairgrounds, of course, as many of you know, the booths, it was new to everyone, and this is the only, we could only get one booth this year, so we're in a little 10 by 10 booth right there, and boy were we crowded with our guests that came in, and even just the four of us that did the webcast. But we made it and we had fun. Live streaming from the car. This is this is kind of unique. We've been doing it for many, many years. This is me. Looks like I'm looking at the chat room. We have a camera mounted out the front, and we usually stream sometimes 10 hours without stopping. People get to see what all we do. They see us stop and get a candy bar. They see us stop to get gas, and some of the more memorable moments where they got to see us stopped by the police doing I think 89 and a 70, and they were all taking up a collection to bail us out of jail. You know, how do we connect? Well, like I mentioned, 3G and 4G was good out, especially on the road. Internet connectivity at Hamvention was pretty bad also during early years. And 4G basically and 3G just stopped working out there. When you get 20,000 people in a very closed area like this, and they all have the phones now with data on it, 20,000 people just overloads the tower. So it became unusable there at these events. So what we did several years ago, we moved to a Ka band satellite uplink. There's a picture of the one we had right behind our tent there out in the flea market there at Hera Arena back a number of years ago. There it is again down at the second picture there. That was a special show we did from R&L Electronics up in Hamilton, Ohio one December. And you can see the antenna is fairly portable, but it's very, very difficult to tune. If you're off 1 millimeter, you almost don't get the signal. So you can see it takes a little time to set it up and aim it. The interesting thing about that setting on the ground right there, we were doing the show from R&L and we lost our connection. And someone said, the FedEx guy must be here. So we opened the back door and he had a FedEx truck parked right in front of the dish. So that blocked us that day. We got a very large following and very dedicated viewers. Here's one here where the wife found a guy at 3 o'clock a.m. Watching our show, and I think she's getting a little ticked off, but nevertheless, that's what happens when you get kind of hooked to some of the webcasts that we do. 50,000 unique viewers in 150 countries. We actually did this in one show. We did this during Dayton about 4 years ago. The statistics we had for the show showed we had showed right at 150,000 unique viewers. And this was over like a 5-day period. This was not 50,000 people at one time, but this is 50,000 unique viewers that tuned in to us during this broadcast. And as you know, we usually broadcast like Wednesday through Sunday, so it was like 5 or 6 days. So you can see our show is getting known around the world, and many people watch this. You know, this is interesting. I always ask people to send me a picture of you guys watching us on the big screen TV at your house. Here's a picture someone sent in, and he's watching us drive home. And you can see we got a pretty good picture there. And if you'll notice, this year it looks like we added the rear view camera, the rear view camera cam up there in the picture. So you could actually watch us drive down the road, and you can actually see cars coming up behind us there, and especially if they were police, you could tell if they were coming up behind us there. You know, one of the unique things about this webcast is it hooked us up with some very interesting people, and we made some great friends. And here's a picture of astronaut Doug Wheelock back in 2011. He came to see us and be on our webcast at Dayton in 2011 because I had worked him in the space station about 30 times a few months prior to this. And we gave Doug a certificate there that is a worked all Memphis, because he worked nearly everybody in Memphis, and we had a good time giving Doug that worked all Memphis. There's a group of the Memphis people that came by that day, and these are all people that actually talked to Doug when he was the commander of the International Space Station. So we developed a friendship with Doug and got him on our show, and we made him our co-host. And Doug has now been with us for 5 years, and it's been really cool having him with us. He really signs autographs and talks with people. You can see all the people lined up here, and I'll tell you, he answers every question that anybody might have. And I tell you, most everybody asks this very same question when they come up here to him, and he answers it just like that was the first time that anyone has ever asked him that question. Very cool guy. I've got to know him well. He's actually even spent the night here at my home here last year, and we did some things, and he's just a really cool guy. We hope he's with us in August when we go to Huntsville. Now, you know, another neat thing, that interesting thing, I think, is our show was getting so well known that John Amadeo, NN6JA, called me one day. He's the producer of the TV show, you know, Last Man Standing. And he asked me if I'd come out to Hollywood and do a webcast from out there. So we went out there, and from the stage, we went out there. There I am, there at the door of Last Man Standing. So this was a special event station, K6H, and it was a special event from the stage of ABC stage of Last Man Standing. And there's our set. They built this for us, and it was really exciting to have a professional set. You can see the Outdoor Man wall behind us. They set that up specially for us, and this was our area. And it was just really, really cool. We had all the professional people, you know, the gaffers and all those different kind of people. If you needed something, you know, if you needed an electrical cord, the electrical guys would bring the cord. They were really nice, and they helped us do just about everything. This is probably the most interesting thing of one of the deals we did, and that was I met with Tim after rehearsal one day. I went outside and we talked to Tim about announcing that he had just got his ham radio license. Tim had studied and passed his license. It was kind of a secret. Of course, it hit the FCC database, and the word was kind of getting out, but he didn't really want anybody to know it. And of course, Tim Allen is not his real name, that's his show name. But regardless, I asked him if I could announce on our webcast there from the stage of Last Man Standing, if I could announce that he got his license, and he gave me permission there to do it. So that's another first for us. And from our show, we got to announce that Tim Allen got his license. There's Mandy Baxter, KF0XIE. Many of you probably know Mandy from the show. There she is with me there and holding a signed QSL card. There's Mike Baxter's card, and there's Mandy's card. Many of you guys probably have one of those cards. There I am sitting at one of the operating positions at Outdoor Man there on the show. That was one of Mike Baxter's operating positions. And you know, that was a live working ham radio set there. ICOM loaned them the radios, and Comet loaned them antennas to put on the roof, and it was a real operating ham station. And if you look, I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, yeah, if you look right there, there's my QSL card right there. And of course they rotate the cards on and off, but my card was up there quite a bit of the time. And it was interesting that I would watch the show on TV and I could see my card in the background some shows. This is a volunteer team that administered the secret test to Tim Allen. That's Rob AA6RA, Tim Holly N6QA, and Julian Frost N3JF. And we were talking about it there on the webcast on how secretive it was, and how Tim did such a good job in passing that test. He really did a good job. There we are. You can see this is a studio set. Everything's kind of black, and there's a little hallway right there. And that's actually areas where they filmed the show, Last Man Standing. And you know, you wonder, let me go back here, you know, you wonder why sometimes do we get confused or we lose track of things during an interview. Well, this is what goes on behind the scenes. This is us looking out past the camera. You can see Julian Frost there, and several other people trying to break our thought chain there and cutting up. I actually think one of them flew a drone up to us that week while we were doing an interview with someone. A drone actually flew up to us there in the studio. Again, you can see a shot of us at Hamvention. I had a lot of neat space there. Usually it's me and Kathy, Freddie, and Tommy that will come and do the show. And boy, we need help. We could use 10 to 12 people easy to put the show on and give everybody what they wanted. Old friend Bob Heil here. Bob's a great supporter of our webcast, and he's always has been. He's been on our show several times, and we always try to get by and talk with Bob. And Bob always reminds us that the microphones that we're using there, my microphone I'm holding and he's holding is the Heil PR35. And Bob gave me our first professional microphone to use on the show a number of years ago, and since then we've gotten several. But that mic is the PR35, and Bob will tell you that that's the same microphone that Charlie Daniels uses and Carrie Underwood, and he'll name all the celebrities off using that mic. And I said, Bob, when you roll off those names like that, can you add my name on there and say Tom W5KUB uses it also? He said, yeah, he'd do that. So I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but Bob's a great guy, and Bob always donates prizes for our viewers out there. A lot of great people, a lot of well-known people get on our show. That's Bharathi, VU2RBI from India. Very well-known lady ham. There's not many lady hams there out of India, but very famous. There is Martin Jew. He's the founder of MFJ Enterprises, and he's been a great supporter of our webcast. And he also donates a lot of prizes for us to give out. Here's a shot of the delegation from India. That's Mr. Suri is there. Mr. Suri is on the right side there, be my left, but he's on the very right side. And Mr. Suri is the founder of the National Institute of Amateur Radio in India, and that's almost like the FCC. It's a pretty big deal in India. It's very well known, and these guys keep wanting me to come out to India, and I just don't know if I can make it out there or not. We do a lot of different special broadcasts. This was a special show on Arduino, and that's Glenn Popeil, KW5GP, the author of several ARRL books now about Arduino for ham radio and meshed networks for ham radio. And we always have a good time when Glenn comes by and gets on the show. He lives near here, and we usually get him on here every few months. You know, we tried something different on our webcast. Here's John Amadeo, NN6JA, the producer from the Last Man Standing show. And we just got this virtual presence device. You can see right there, we're bringing him in on the virtual presence device. So this worked out pretty good. If you can't make it in person, we can bring you in on our virtual presence device. There's a picture of Freddie and Glenn Popeil there behind. He was on the show that night, me, and of course John Amadeo there. Actually in the virtual presence device here. We need to bring it out and start using it more. Other neat things we do, this was a D-Star live show. We did the first D-Star live show, I think in ICOM's history, and this was a couple years ago, and we brought in all the D-Star experts. You can also see Ray Novak back there. And we really had a show. It was about an 8-hour long show, and we had a lot of viewers. I think we had somewhere around 1,000 viewers watching the show. And you know, the interesting thing there, we had right at 30 computers on my network. Now I can only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 there, but there was a lot of other computers that were on the show, that were in the chat room, that were doing the webcast. We had close to 30 computers networked during that show. That was a great show, though. That's just a shot from the studio here in the shack. It's changed a lot since this picture was made, but it's you know, it's a fairly simple looking operation. Again, another first. If you remember the Nepal earthquake a couple years ago, we weren't getting much information out of Nepal after that earthquake, and on our webcast, we actually had boots on the ground. We had live reports from Nepal there at the earthquake, and we had people on, like there's Ram Suri there. I think he was at the location. That's Mr. Suri there on the left side of the picture. Again, the founder of the National Institute of Amateur Radio, and it's VU2 RBI there on the right side. Shortwave Radio, we've had our weekly show simulcast on world famous international shortwave station WBCQ on 5130 for quite a while now, and we've had listener reports as far as away as the Netherlands and Costa Rica, and we're trying to bring more and more shortwave listeners into ham radio. And you know, maybe you guys are like me. I started out as a shortwave listener back in the 1960s, and shortwave is what got me interested in ham radio. You know, our show format, we've got co-hosts here. We've got Katie Allen with us. We've got Dave Kassler, Ask Dave. And then we've got key guests that are on here regularly. Emmett Hohensee, the chief engineer of Radio Waves, talks a lot about antennas. He's always a big hit. Riley Hollingsworth, the retired special counsel to the FCC, has been with us quite a number of times answering FCC questions. And the reason Riley hadn't been on lately is that people have stopped sending in questions, so there are no questions for Riley to answer. Our friend Joe Eisenberg in K0NEB does a deal with us regularly about kit building. Also, he brings us a lot of pictures from various Hamfests, so we call him our Hamfest reporter. And then, of course, we've got Hambot. You know, we couldn't do this show without Hambot, and of course, that's Hambot supervised by Kathy. And of course, you know, our viewers interact with us via telephone or chat. There's Katie Allen, one of our co-hosts, WI7YL. There's Ask Dave, Dave Kassler, K0G. There's a shot of Joe. There's Riley Hollingsworth. We need to get some questions for Riley. Emmett, W0QH. He's always out traveling and doing shows and showing his antennas. There's Hambot. Hambot, I tell you, Hambot rules the world. Let me tell you, we could not do the show, Hamfest and Hamventions and things like that without Hambot. He actually does the work of about 2 or 3 people. Hey, there are spottings, man. There are W5KUB spottings. This is a picture somebody spotted us and posted it on Twitter one year, and we have several of those all the time where people see us. Going to Dayton this year, we had people come up with us and then join us because they knew who we were. But this is I think around Louisville, Kentucky. This is KC4WQ. This guy was watching us drive home, and he stayed at home the whole show, but he's been watching the whole weekend. And when he heard we were stopping, I think at the Cracker Barrel for lunch, he got in his car and came over just to see us. So that was kind of cool. KC4WQ up around, I think, Louisville or somewhere up that way. Hey, another first for us. You may have missed this, but we were a sponsor of the Heard Island DXpedition last year. Heard Island is down right at the edge of Antarctica. It's an uninhabited island. You can see there, it don't look very good, does it? Well, we did something that, our webcast did something that no others had done before. We brought Heard Island into our Tuesday night show 3 weeks in a row. And here's a picture of Bill, AE0EE, all the way from Heard Island one Tuesday night, giving us an interview down here. And Bill actually took the camera. We walked outside the tent, and we could actually see the penguins walking around there in the snow, and we could see the volcano in the background. So again, no one else has done anything like that, so we feel real proud that we did that. Hera recognized our webcast 2 years ago, and we were selected as a DARA Special Achievement Award given out at Hamvention a couple years ago. And this was kind of neat, and we're very honored to have received this. This Special Achievement Award was up for grabs to hams all over the world. Actually, they had a lot of people that were nominated for this, but DARA chose us, and there's a picture of me accepting the award at the DARA Awards on Saturday night during Hamvention a couple years ago. And we thank them for recognizing us, and they really helped us out a lot over the years there at Hamvention. Hey, just very quickly, webcast prizes. If you're new to the show here, you probably don't know much about the prizes, but let me tell you, some years we give out upwards to $7,000 to $10,000 in prizes. Look at this. Look at that SWR meter there in the center. That thing's about a $900 alpha watt meter. We've got antennas and watt meters and antenna tuners, QSL cards. We've got tools, auto antenna tuners. There's a Heil headset, Heil microphones, Heil headsets, handy talkies, hats. And hey, the bottom right there is an item that everybody wants to win. That's a spool of LMR 400 low loss cable. Man, everybody loves that. I tell you. But there's a Begally key to the left there at the bottom. They give us a key every year to give away. It's engraved actually for the show. It's engraved w5kub.com, and that's a neat prize that we give out each year. Packet, clocks, radios. Look at these antenna analyzers we give out. I mean, that's some nice prizes there. Signal links, antennas, coaxes, again, Heil microphones, weather stations. We give out a lot of prizes, and all you got to do is be here if we call your name. We used to send out emails to about 15,000 people on our email list, but it got very expensive. It was starting to cost us about $75 a month just to send those emails out, and it was a lot of work to put them together each week, and I don't think it was doing us a whole lot of good. We do still promote the show to about 380,000 hams through Facebook groups, another 325,000 hams through Google communities. We also post in forums and in news, such as QRZ.com, eHam, and Amateur Radio Newsline. And we'd like to just ask you guys if you can help us when you see our advertisement comes out. If you could cross-post it into another Facebook group or something, it would help us get the word out about the show. So we need your help, guys. We've really been growing. We're always looking for people that can do professional web design, video editing, creating maybe a promo spot, operate cameras for us. A lot of times I get a guest in front of a camera and we have no camera operator, and that's not great. Even audio problems. Sometimes our audio needs to be adjusted and there's no one there to adjust the audio. And we're always looking for local guests to be on our show. So join us, and join us on w5kub.com Facebook group, and you'll know what special events and dates and times that are coming up. We're on every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time for Amateur Radio Roundtable. If you want to, you can contact us on Twitter at W5KUB. Or you can send an email to Tom at w5kub.com. Join us on Facebook. That's what the site looks like. Of course, all of you are looking at it right now, but this presentation is also suitable for giving at ham clubs and so forth. So that's what the website looks like. You can actually pop out the video, resize it, move it around. You can do the same with the chat room. So that's the end of that, and I tell you what, we cannot not bring Hambot in here at the end of this, because Hambot is a major part of this operation. So we're going to bring Hambot in. All right, so that was Hambot. And then I had one more here I was going to show. Let's see if I can find it or not. Well, I don't see it, but I was going to run you a new little promo we had. Here it is. Here's the promo. You probably already seen it, but I want to get this promo out because it goes along with our discussion we just had.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
So that was the cat. You know, people confuse that commercial. They think the little lab guy there with the cat is Glenn Popeil. It looks like Glenn Popeil. He may be in a chat room tonight. In fact, he's the one that brought it up, that he looks like that guy. Oh, well, hey, it's been a great night tonight. Just want to thank everybody again for tuning in, and especially, again, if you're tuning in on shortwave, we really appreciate you listening tonight. Send us an email on where you're located, and send us a signal report to tom@w5kub.com. We'd love to hear from you. Again, if you have internet connectivity, go to w5kub.com, and you can always watch the show. And if you miss the show live, you can always click above in the menu up there on archives. You can watch the shows. They're all recorded. All the past shows are recorded. Again, field day next week. Don't forget, field day next week. If you can get me a 3 to 5 minute video, we'd love to have it posted on YouTube. Let me know. I'll download it. We'll get it on the show next week. 3 to 5 minutes. Katie and Dave will be back with us next week. And I just want to say thank you so much to everybody for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week. And we will go to Hangout right now. So we'll go to Hangout. We'll be posting the link for Hangout in the chat room. And all you have to do is click on that link and you can join us. So the show is not really over. The official show is over. But now we're going to go to the informal show. And we will leave the webcast up. And you'll be able to see anyone that checks into Hangout. You're going to see the video and hear us talk. And it's like we're just sitting around the coffee table. We talk about anything and everything. So join us if you want to. And we'd love to have you. We can take up to 10 people at one time in Hangout. And when a person talks, their picture comes up full screen. And then when another person talks, their picture comes up and so forth. So it's kind of neat to be able to bring you guys in to hang out. We usually have a lot of regulars that come in here, but join us. Click on the link. Click on the link in the chat room. If you can't find a link in the chat room, look up in the topic of the chat room. There's a link there, and you can click on it. Thanks a lot. 73 to everybody, and we'll see you over on Hangout in just a couple minutes.